In the midst of the grunge revolution in the 90s, No Doubt rose through the ranks to become one of the era's biggest bands thanks to their unique hybrid of ska, pop, and new wave, and the natural charisma of their frontwoman, Gwen Stefani. But ask the general public today, and the tendency is they know about Gwen, but not much about her former band. Since their beginnings in the late 80s, No Doubt has faced numerous obstacles that challenged their chances of ever making it big. Despite these hurdles, the band pressed on and eventually ascended into global superstardom by the mid-90s. But as time went on, the media became more fixated on Gwen than the band as a whole, and eventually, Gwen broke out of the alternative scene and turned into one of the world's biggest pop stars, while the rest of No Doubt faded into obscurity. What really happened with No Doubt, and was Gwen responsible for their breakup? Stay tuned as we follow the story of one of ska's most iconic bands from their rise to the 90s to their fall in the early 2000s that coincided with Gwen Stefani's surge in popularity as a pop princess. No Doubt became one of the most successful bands in the alternative scene in the 90s and had a big hand in the resurgence of ska during that era, but by the mid-2000s, the band had paused all activity while their singer Gwen Stefani gained more fame as a solo artist. It's not uncommon to find younger audiences today who know more of Gwen than No Doubt. The band was the project of Gwen's brother Eric Stefani, who displayed a passion for music at an early age. Eric met his first lead vocalist, John Spence, at a Dairy Queen store and invited him to his band. While completing his lineup, Eric persuaded his younger sister Gwen to sing backing vocals. The band rehearsed at Eric and Gwen's parents' garage. One of their early shows was at Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach, California. The gig was attended by John Canal, who later joined the band as their bassist. Not long after, he and Gwen began dating, although they kept their relationship secret from their bandmates for a year. In 1987, a few days from performing at the Roxy Theater, John Spence committed suicide. Devastated by the sudden loss, the band disbanded for a brief period. After concluding that Spence would want them to continue, the band reformed. Their trumpet player at the time, Alan Mead, took over Spence on vocals. He eventually left, and Gwen filled in the position of lead vocalist. In 1988, the band was joined by Tom Dumont, a heavy metal guitarist who wasn't a fan of the booze, spandex, and hard partying common in the glam scene at the time. The following year, Adrian Young joined the band as its drummer. During this time, No Doubt played a handful of shows around California and even got to share the bill with a then-rising Red Hot Chili Peppers. The band's trombone player, Paul Casely, left in late 1989 to join the U.S. Navy. Soon the band caught the attention of Tony Ferguson, who signed them to the newly established Interscope Records in 1990. The band began working on their self-titled debut album, which was released in early 1992. Unfortunately, it wasn't as successful as they had hoped. The album only sold around 30,000 copies, and Interscope didn't fund the release of a single. Gwen recalls that the label didn't back them during the recording process either, so the process was like an independent effort, except that they had access to a professional studio. Interscope didn't fund the release of a single, so No Doubt had to release their debut single, Trapped in a Box, themselves, and pulled from their own pockets to shoot a promotional music video for it. Radio stations refused to play the single as their ska sound contrasted with a grunge sound that was big at the time. Even a supporting tour wasn't backed by Interscope, so the band had to finance their own tour. Frustrated by Interscope's lack of support, No Doubt decided to go DIY on their second album. The band built its own recording studio at Beacon Avenue in Anaheim, California, and independently recorded the album in 1994. The result was the Beacon Street Collection, named after the studio's location where it was recorded. The album was significantly more successful than its predecessor, selling over 100,000 copies and finally impressing Interscope officials. However, by the time it was released, Eric had left the band and went on to become an animator for The Simpsons, and Canal had broken up with Gwen. Nonetheless, the band had proven they could become big, so Interscope agreed to support them for their third album. No Doubt was signed to Trauma Records, an independent label that was associated with Interscope during the recording sessions for the Beacon Street collection. Trauma produced Bush's debut album, 16 Stone, which was released the previous year. The album was a success and gave Trauma a ton of credibility in the industry. Under Trauma, No Doubt released its third studio album, Tragic Kingdom, 9 months after releasing the Beacon Street collection. Having just gone through a series of breakups and losses, Tragic Kingdom became a more emotionally charged album, as evidenced by Gwen's lyrics. With everything they faced before its release, the band was uncertain where they would go from there. But unexpectedly, Tragic Kingdom was a massive success that launched No Doubt into the stratosphere. The album sold 16 million copies worldwide and became the band's best-selling album, bolstered by the singles Just a Girl and the crossover hit Don't Speak. The record allowed No Doubt to cross over into the mainstream. Their singles were receiving radio airplay and attention from MTV. They got to perform on Conan O'Brien's show, and they went on tour with label mates Bush to promote the album. It was here when Gwen began dating Bush's frontman Gavin Rossdale. But despite its success, tensions continued within the band. Around this time, the media focused its attention on Gwen while ignoring the rest of the band, which was reflected in the music video for Don't Speak. In fact, the band recalls they were on the verge of breaking up the day before filming, but they held it together to shoot the video and proceeded to tour the world for almost 3 years. The band also received its first Grammy nominations at the 1997 Grammys for Best New Artist and Best Rock Album. By 1999, Tragic Kingdom was certified Diamond. Following relentless touring and the countless accolades they received, No Doubt took a couple of years before they recorded a new album. The pressure was immense to follow up on Tragic Kingdom's success, and it took the band 5 years before they could release a new album. In 2000, No Doubt released Return of Saturn, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200. While it received rave reviews, the album failed to achieve the success of its predecessor. At the same time, Gwen started collaborating with other artists such as Moby on the song Southside and Eve on the Dr. Dre-produced single Let Me Blow Your Mind. The latter was a hit and even won Best Female Video at the 2001 MTV Video Music Awards and later a Grammy Award in 2002. These successes allowed Gwen's individual star power to pick up steam, slowly making her bigger than No Doubt. Despite this, the band remained persevering as always. A year after releasing Return of Saturn, the band came out with its 5th studio album, Rocksteady. It was a commercial success and was credited with revitalizing the band's popularity. 2 of its singles, Hey Baby and Underneath It All, won Grammy Awards in 2002 and 2003 respectively. No Doubt also performed at the Super Bowl 37 halftime show in January 2003, sharing the prestigious stage with Shania Twain and Sting. But by then, Gwen's popularity as a solo star was reaching fever pitch, and she proceeded to record material for what would become her debut solo album. While Gwen kept herself busy with her solo material, No Doubt released its greatest hits album, The Singles, 1992 to 2003, and recorded a cover of Talk Talk's It's My Life to promote it. Subsequently, No Doubt went on hiatus while Gwen continued working on her solo project. On the side, she also ventured into entrepreneurship by launching her clothing line, LAMB. Gwen was already attracting attention for her Harajuku-inspired fashion sense for some time, and her new clothing line helped further elevate her status as a fashion icon. Gwen's album, Love, Angel, Music Baby, was released in November of 2004. The record strayed away from No Doubt's ska sound in favor of an 80s pop vibe thanks to the input of various producers like Andre 3000, Pharrell Williams, Dr. Dre, and even No Doubt bandmate John Canal. It was a commercial success, receiving 6 Grammy nominations in 2006 and solidifying Gwen as a major pop superstar in her own right. She followed this up 2 years later with The Sweet Escape, another successful effort that saw Gwen embrace a more upbeat dance pop sound. Gwen then embarked on a worldwide supporting tour and also appeared as a mentor on American Idol to further promote the album. While Gwen toured the world to promote The Sweet Escape, No Doubt's instrumentalists started writing music for a new album, intending to complete it once Gwen wraps up her tour. In 2008, the band announced their plans for a new record and tour. MTV officially announced the tour in January 2009, which commenced from May to August of that year. Supporting acts throughout the tour included Paramore, The Sounds, Panic at the Disco, and even Katy Perry for one show. Following their summer tour, No Doubt entered the studio to record their new album. In September 2012, Push and Shove was released, 11 years after they released their last album. Their comeback record debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. The band then spent the next few years performing on a handful of shows and festivals, such as iHeart Music Festival in 2012, the Global Citizen Festival in 2014, and Rock in Rio, USA away in 2015. As of now, it seems the band is on another break. Following Push and Shove, Gwen has continued with her solo commitments. Since 2014, she's been featured on the reality TV series The Voice as one of the coaches, and has continued her solo music career. In 2016, she released her third album, This Is What the Truth Feels Like, and continues to perform live as a solo artist. Meanwhile, the rest of No Doubt has gone quiet again. Gwen expressed uncertainty about the band's future in 2016, while also implying that their last album was made under pressure and unfortunately didn't find the band in the best place creatively. So is No Doubt done? And was it Gwen's fault? No one's really sure at this point, and the band hasn't released a statement yet. But if that's it for them, there's really no one to fault, certainly not Gwen. It just so happened that she oozed this unique charisma that took the band to new heights and ultimately helped her launch her own star as well. And while it can't be disputed that Gwen is a much bigger star today, No Doubt deserves credit for being a legendary band in their own right, an icon of ska in the 90s that managed to cross over into the pop realm to become one of the most popular alternative bands.